Amazing accidents, wild wrecks, crazy characters, and more. Brace for impact, it's time for your weekly dose of dashcam deliciousness right here on Wham Bam Dashcam. Mark and his wife were headed down a highway in their Honda CR-V when an oncoming pickup truck lost control before sliding sideways across the median. The pickup slid into their lane, and the wet road surface made it impossible for either vehicle to stop. They slammed into the truck, causing airbags to deploy in both vehicles. 2 occupants were in the pickup truck, and a North Carolina trooper later told Mark that it had slick tires. Amazingly, there were no fatalities resulting from this accident. Tom's wife Annie was waiting at a red light when she watched 2 vehicles collide in the middle of the intersection. Both drivers were out of their vehicles and walking around after the accident. Annie couldn't see a safe place to stop, so she continued on. Gunnar was driving home from school in his Dodge pickup when he watched a Chevy pickup take to a pedestrian walking path to skip around traffic. Well, that's one way to do it. Gunnar just kept driving. He said he's a new driver and he appreciates learning from our videos. Thanks, Gunnar. David was driving in Utah when traffic ahead of him slowed to a crawl. A Jeep driver a ways behind him didn't notice before ramming a Mitsubishi and pushing it into the back of David's Nissan Leaf. Thankfully, there were no injuries. David's car had some minor scratches on the bumper cover, but the Mitsubishi took the brunt of the impact and was totaled. The Jeep driver got a bent license plate and a traffic citation. This submitter was driving down I-15 in California when he watched the driver of a Tesla Model 3 lose control on the wet road surface. No, that's not our Tesla behaving badly for this week. It's coming up, so keep watching. Owen was driving at around 30 miles per hour when the driver of a Toyota Corolla merged left without checking for traffic. This move caused the driver of a Toyota Highlander to dodge them, but traffic ahead of them forced them to stop. Owen slammed on the brakes, and he told us he's thankful for anti-lock brake technology. This submitter had just gotten his 2021 Toyota Camry back after it was rear-ended. His parents were on their way to church with his 4-year-old niece when a BMW driver rear-ended it again. The moment our submitter's father got out of the car, the other driver sped away, making this accident a hit and run. A police report was made and an insurance claim filed with the dashcam footage included as evidence. Including the cost of repairing the damage and providing a rental car, the insurance provider paid out almost $9,000 US. This next clip comes from a big fan who manages an RV park in Idaho. He was watching the park's security cameras when he saw an unfamiliar pickup truck enter the park driving above the posted 5-mile-per-hour speed limit. Christopher followed after the pickup in his GMC Yukon, eventually catching up with it parked in the middle of the road. He told us that when he confronted the driver, he appeared drunk. When Christopher asked him if he was drunk, he replied, "So what if I am? You gonna call the police?" Christopher answered in the affirmative. The man then bent his license plate up so Christopher wouldn't be able to see the numbers. When Christopher informed him his license plate had already been recorded by Dashcam, he finally decided to leave. Since Christopher was already on the phone with law enforcement, he decided to follow the pickup until it pulled over. Then the other guy followed him for a while, clearly agitated, before finally turning around in the ditch. Getting to see this story from security cameras as well as from Christopher's dashcam was super cool. If you want more security camera clips, go subscribe to our new channel, Wham Bam Security Cam, and be sure to send in your own clips. Hunter was headed back to work after lunch and was following a Tahoe that he watched aggressively tailgate multiple other drivers. Watch what happened when the car it was following slowed down and signaled for a turn. The Tahoe driver crossed double yellow lines into oncoming traffic to go around a student driver on the side they were turning toward. The student driver even had their signal on, so it's not like the Tahoe driver didn't know. Fortunately, the student is already a better driver than the Tahoe driver, and they stopped in time to avoid T-boning the SUV. Thank goodness the Tahoe made it to that red light 5 seconds sooner. This submitter was approaching an intersection when he watched a pickup truck run a red light and slam into a sedan.
Quit being a sissy and come join me. Oh, wreck.
Our submitter called 911 and reported the collision. Both vehicles were totaled in the accident. Okay, I promised you a Tesla behaving badly. Here it is.
That Tesla man can't drive. That Tesla man can't drive. That Tesla man can't drive. That Tesla man can't drive.
The Tesla driver used a turn-only lane to get ahead of Tom. What makes it especially frustrating is that the local police station is just down the street. Jeremy was driving down a Michigan highway when a driver who seemed distracted veered into his lane. Thankfully, Jeremy was paying attention and was able to use the shoulder to avoid a collision. Matthew was just finishing up at an automatic car wash when the driver in front of him started braking instead of exiting the car wash. Matthew honked and put on his own brakes, but the car wash slowly pushed him into the back of the Dodge Durango, which was already being pushed into a GMC SUV in front of it. By the time an employee shut down the car wash, 5 vehicles had been involved in the slow-speed pileup. The car wash employees were unhelpful and told everyone to figure it out amongst themselves. It turned out the vehicle at the front of the stack had died, and the collisions occurred while multiple people were struggling to get it started and moved. Unfortunately, the Durango owner left before Matthew had a chance to talk to them. He wants to know what you think he should do about this situation, so let him know in a comment. Brian sent us a new record for the most lanes crossed to make it to a highway exit. Let's get the counter going. Brian told us the pickup bounced off the guardrail before continuing. Nice work! Jesse was heading down I-95 when the driver of a Mitsubishi Mirage started merging into his lane. Jesse honked and swerved to avoid getting sideswiped, and he said the driver of the merging Mirage was a young man who seemed to ignore what had happened. This submitter was headed home from the post office in his Chevy Camaro SS. He'd pulled up to the stop line of a left turn lane and was waiting for the traffic light to turn green. A semi-truck driver didn't turn wide enough and clipped the front of our submitter's Camaro before taking off. Our submitter called 911 and followed the truck with the left side of the car scraping and throwing sparks the whole time. He pulled over once he had the truck's license plate number. Phil was waiting at a traffic light. Off to his left, the aftermath of an accident that had happened earlier was still obstructing part of the road. Watch what happened when Phil got a green arrow for a protected left turn. A driver from the left was distracted by the accident scene and almost caused another accident by running their red light. Phil honked to get their attention, then proceeded around them and went on his way. He wanted to remind our viewers not to let accident scenes distract you. We've seen way too many cases where drivers checking out one accident aren't paying attention and cause another. Felix had a black pickup truck fly past him, then watched him tailgate other traffic before taking the next exit. He then continued speeding on the off-ramp and just generally driving aggressively. A few minutes later, Felix's GPS app warned him that a speed trap had been reported ahead. Evidently, the driver of the black pickup truck wasn't using the same app.
Oh.
Let's go.
Wait, actually, no, technically it's not there anymore.
I knew it, bro. What did I say?
That's so funny.
I have to record on the Dashcam now.
Sure enough, the cop activated their emergency lights and stopped the pickup. Gotta love that instant justice. Check out this clip sent to us by Cruise 105. Unfortunately, he didn't have time to stop, but he did tell us the drivers got out and didn't appear to be hurt. Bryce was taking his girlfriend to class when they encountered a loose pony running around campus. Or was it trotting? Galloping? Sorry, I'm not an equatorial.
Yeah, it's passing the Alpha Tau Mega House, going into their driveway, or their parking lot.
After following it for a while, some folks in a pickup truck finally caught up to it and tied it to a light pole with a dog leash. They didn't own it either, but they were able to find the owners using Facebook a few hours later. Evidently, the mini horse, or pony, or whatever it is, had escaped a local petting zoo. What's the strangest animal you've seen on the loose while driving?